Okay, ladies and gents, as we finally draw this year to a close, I thought it might be nice to take a look back across the whole thing, all 12 months, and I'm going to pick out for you my personal top 5 guitars of 2022. Let's do it. Alright folks, so as you've seen, we like to do these top 5 roundups, usually of a particular month, of all the new arrivals that happen to come in within that time frame. And usually that's quite easy because they're all in recent memory. I've had my hands on them very recently and I kind of remember the details that made them so good. However, this is always a unique challenge, and we've only done this once before, where we tried to span back across the entire 12 months. And this is a real challenge because, as you may have seen, I've played literally thousands of guitars this year. And by the way, I want to say thank you to everyone who's watched all of those hundreds, if not thousands, of videos as well. It really means a lot. I appreciate all your comments and all the views. So with that out the way, like I say, this is quite a monumental challenge to remember everything. I couldn't do that, so what I did instead was delve through the archives a little bit and pick out some of the guitars that really did stand out for a number of different reasons, and you're going to kind of get a sense as we go through this video as to why I chose them. I want to offer a few thoughts on each guitar as we go, but really I'm going to let the playing clips kind of do the talking for themselves. I think you can tell when I really felt and vibed with a guitar in a particular way, and I wanted to pick guitars across the full kind of tonal spectrum as well, so some real classic vintage inspired stuff, some more modern contemporary stuff as well. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the guitar is just a vehicle for you to play the thing. So if inspiring stuff comes out of you when you pick up an instrument, that is the mark of a great guitar, regardless of its style and design. So without further ado, let's get into my personal top 5. And I will say this is in no particular order. They are all just as fabulous as one another. Let's go. Okay, so first up, this was a result of, as I said, stemming right back to almost the top of the year. And when I saw this guitar on the list, I thought, I remember that thing. I remember that that was particularly special. Of all of the Paul Reed Smith guitars that we've received this year, very few of them have been the private stock level instruments, which, as we all know, is really just PRS completely showing off with the finest grade of tone woods, the finest aesthetics that they can muster, and usually some kind of one-off custom work to the guitar, whether that be fretboard markings, unique finishes on the body, sometimes different pickup configurations, any number of different little custom tweaks and touches. This one though, a McCarty 594, I think is possibly the best looking guitar that I've seen this year. There was a lot of stiff competition for that accolade, but when you see it, I'm sure you may agree, it was just absolutely off the charts beautiful. And, of course, being a private stock PRS, it has the tones to back up the monumental looks as well. So it was my personal pick for high-end PRS of the year, but I'll let you be the judge as to whether you agree. Alright, the second guitar from this list was something that was a complete curveball, something that I had no prior experience with, a brand new brand to the store for 2022, Tom Anderson Guitars, and we're really excited to see kind of where this goes. The initial reception though was fantastic because a lot of people out there know the brand and know what they're capable of when it comes to custom guitar design. However, like I said, I'd never had my hands on one before, and this one in particular really did blow me away. It gave a really great impression of what the brand is about, and it set them apart from all the other kind of high-end boutique, bolt-on style guitar design builders that we've had in the past. I really did feel that this is quite unique, and I think in the playing clip you're going to hear that tonally it's not just a one-trick pony either, and that is really the most important thing about a guitar of this design. It has to be able to do a number of different things and yet still impart some kind of its own character. Like I say, it does all of that, but this was a character that I hadn't personally heard before, so I really did get excited to play this thing, and the proof of that admission is going to be in this playing clip. Okay, so it wouldn't really be a peach top anything list if we didn't include the most prominent, prolific, and probably important master builder, specifically from the Fender Custom Shop, that we've ever had the fortune to work with. If you've seen any of our stuff before, you will see that Dale Wilson makes a regular appearance in our video lists when we're lucky to receive his product. Now, the man is very in demand, and we don't see them that often, even more scarcely these days, unfortunately. So when they do turn up, it's always an occasion. Usually they've already sold, but on the rare opportunities that I do get to get hands-on with them and kind of explore all of the tonal spectrum that these things have to offer. Obviously, you know, they're largely about the looks. Dale Wilson is an incredible relica, and that debate rumbles on, probably forevermore, as to whether that's your thing or not. Regardless of that, I always think that they have a very unique tone to them. They don't really sound like any other particular Fender guitar. This one really stood out as being one of the most dynamic and open-sounding Telecasters. Granted, it is actually a 51 no-caster model, but it really had something going for it. It just felt completely organic, felt really open, and I think in the clip you're going to hear, it really spans all of the traditional Tele stuff, as you would expect the guitar to do, but again, it has this kind of unique soul to it that I personally didn't quite expect, and really did resonate with me as a way of kind of really emphasizing single notes, which is perhaps something you don't necessarily do with Teles that often. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit here. I'm going to let the guitar do the talking for me, but this was definitely the Dale Wilson of the year for moi. Okay, fourth guitar on the list. This is going to make all of the brand skeptics absolutely balk. You will have seen tons of Paul Reed Smith related content from us this year, so I totally understand that maybe you're just a little bit fed up with it by this point, but I just could not go by without including what I think is probably the most important guitar release of the year. Way back at the start, we had the great fortune of having PRS come down and introduce to us their SE Silver Sky. And considering what I talked about at the start of the video with that private stock, super high-end level that we came to expect from them, this was a real shock to see suddenly a guitar that was sub £1,000 delivering every bit of quality that PRS is known for on a way greater commercial kind of scale. These things are readily available. They're actually readily available on very good deals as well, it's worth pointing out. And as the year's gone on, the more of them I've played, the consistency is there, the PRS hallmark of quality is there. I think they look fantastic as well as sound fantastic. So I think, as I said, I made the claim that I think it was the best guitar release of the year. I stand by that. I still stand by, I think, that it's one of the best value guitars I've ever played. This particular example you're going to hear was nothing special. It was just a complete off-the-shelf model of that guitar. So basically, of everything else that's on this list being completely one-off and unique, this is the one that you can definitely pick up for yourself. Even though the one in the video is probably gone by this point, you'll be able to get an SE Silver Sky to sound exactly the way you want to at any time. And I think that that's pretty special and worthy of a place on this list. Right, now as I said, this is not in any particular order, so there is no definitive number one, but before I get to the last selection of my top 5, I would be remiss if I didn't include some honourable mentions of other guitars that were fantastic from this year, but that I didn't necessarily connect with in quite the same way as the final guitar on the list. So I hope you enjoy a few honourable mentions of 5 more. I'm going to give you 5 equally fantastic guitars. Here we go. Okay, so the list so far has been very varied. There's been lots of different styles of guitars on there. I think, as I said earlier on, you can tell basically just from the way I was playing them as to whether I really connected with them or not. And that's the telling sign. You know, as I said, I play thousands of guitars. It's my great fortune to do so, but it does make it difficult to know what necessarily works for you as a player. And my job is to make you understand what you might like and what you might come to expect from a particular guitar. That's the easy part. The hard part is, what do I do with all this information? How do I make decisions for myself, given all of this guitar playing knowledge that I've amassed throughout the year of playing all these different guitars? That's a very hard question, but the one constant that I managed to decipher from 2022 is that undoubtedly the guitar model of the year, for me, was the 64 Custom Shop Murphy Lab SG. I had the great fortune to play a number of them. This was one of the more recent ones. It really stood out as being, as I mentioned earlier with the Dale Wilson Fender, dynamic, open, and responsive. And those three qualities right there, as I said before, it doesn't matter what the guitar is, doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't really matter what it sounds like. If it responds on all of those three different counts, it's a pretty fantastic thing to wield. This SG was one of the finest examples of that, and I really do think I'm going to crown 2022 as the year of the Murphy Lab SG. Here we go. Alright folks, there is the list. So, quite an interesting selection. I hope you enjoyed my personal picks and hopefully you understand my reasoning for choosing them as well. But I would very much like to know what you think. Not only of my selections, but also if you happen to see a particular guitar this year that you just thought was an absolute knockout and you're baffled as to why it's not on the list. Find that video, drop the link down below in the comments, and we can continue this debate well into 2023. So all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you so much for watching all of the thousands of videos that we've put out throughout the course of this year as well. There's going to be plenty more great stuff happening next year. So I wish you the very best. Have a great 2023, and we will see you on the other side. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.